and not results. I think we're living in a world now where, there is no digital native, there is no Generation X, there is no Generation Millennial. It's actually Generation C. So what is that? That is generation of the connected consumer. It transcends all ages, all geographies. It's all about knowing our customers and being connected with them. So what's kind of happening in the industry? I think there's some pretty cool companies doing some pretty cool things. So Trove, European company, launched in Australia last year. Basically what you can do, you can take a photo and get on-demand insurance. Gives you to the second price on your premium. But what's really cool is if you're riding your bike into work, you can turn it on and you'll get insured until you get to work when you turn it off. And you will pay that much of your premium. Say you came out at the end of the day and your bike was stolen, you could send in a clip or send in a text, and as long as you meet the conditions of your claim, be paid out immediately. Absolutely no interaction with anything other than your phone. Because at the end of the day, if you only spend today thinking about today, tomorrow it will already be in the past. Thank you for your time.
All right, today I'm going to ask, what would Jane Austen think about algorithms that can read, speak, and make decisions? What about Te Reo? So there's a nice quote actually from Sir Apirana Ngata, who was talking about using the tools of the Pākehā for the benefit of Māori and to ensure that the descendants of tangata whenua thrived. And so actually we're helping develop algorithms now that can read Te Reo. There's lots of AI out there for English or one of the other 4 or 5 major languages in the world, but minority languages, there's less algorithms out there. And that's partly just because of the volume of data you need to train these algorithms. But we've been helping build algorithms for Te Reo. And so what we're working on now is an algorithm to measure community resilience based on changes and real-time changes in spending patterns for various communities around New Zealand. So some of this is kind of scary, right? We're starting to look at banking data. We're starting to see that data impacts on our life, and particularly we had that highlighted in your talk. But of course, I guess I'm a magenta pill. None of us, it's a little bit frightening, but nonetheless, none of us want to be in calm waters all our lives. Thank you.
Thank you. But the question I have is, who is actually defining the digital evolution? Who's actually saying what is good and what is desirable? Our role is about often helping those people who are most marginalised, who are not in power, who might be that Victorian England woman who didn't have the voice. And our role is about helping them in our society and increasing the richness of all of our society, not just the survival of the fittest. So what does that mean when we talk about evolution? Well, we actually need those voices to be part of that debate, and they need to be also part of defining what is happening in our areas of technology and in digital evolution. So they need to be participating in the development. So I look around this room and I go, sorry guys, this whole room doesn't really reflect diversity. So if we really want to be as, moving forward, we actually need more people from a much more diverse range of cultures, backgrounds, leading and designing our evolution so that the voices are heard. And we also need them to be participating in the development if they can't be actively leading. And that affects how we think about policies in our schools, our education, how we design a whole range of our policy in New Zealand. I had an example of this, unfortunately, the other day. Someone came to me and went, we've got a form, it's going to go online, and if someone doesn't fill out the form correctly, they're going to be told and they won't be able to submit it until it's done. So that's going to be great. I went, no, it's not. There's a real access to justice issue because we don't know that someone couldn't fill out that form, they never could submit it, and therefore we have no idea that at that point in time they were trying to access our service. We should allow all forms to come through our door, because if we don't know that someone desperately needed a service that we provide. So just because we can doesn't mean we should. So I talk about this evolution because I worry at times that it is the privileged voice being heard. And we need to desperately make sure it's a diverse voice that's actively designing what that revolution and evolution is.
This is a highly evolved creature in the Darwinian sense. It is entirely fit for purpose and fitted to the environment in which it lives, and could be thought of as a good representation or metaphor for government. Okay? So Darwinian evolution requires three things: reproduction, variation, and selection pressure. And I'm going to ask the question, why would you think that Darwinian-style evolution meant anything to the digital world? Because it doesn't have any of those characteristics. Change within these areas doesn't progress by reproduction. It progresses by paying attention to what customers want and just changing your system to make it to match. Do we see variation? No, we don't actually. More and more of the digital solutions we see are exactly the same. We tend to build on the back of the work that somebody else has done, which is, if you don't know what the future is going to bring, what you have to be is adaptable. So you have to have capability to respond to changes in the environment. And this is where this poor guy doesn't succeed, because as soon as this bit of forest gets logged, this chap goes extinct. NZTA is changing the way it works. It's becoming more agile. It's coming up with new projects that build a framework that allows the system to adapt, so that we can provide you with a state of truth of what's happening, that you can listen to it, that you can add AI to it, that you can come up with insights. Not just us, but anybody who wants to join in the game. And so that is an evolution that I'm prepared to stand behind. Thank you.
Thank you.
I mean, you look at the great things that Amazon has put out there, but for all of its genius, Amazon's actually a logistics company, which makes its money off of paying most of its workforce minimum wage or less. So you've got this great kind of technology story on top of this really bad human story. Technology is not fixing one of the most fundamental issues in our society. It's actually making it much worse. And this is inequality. For all the cool things that you can do with data and information and AI and all that kind of stuff, actually what's happening is a great concentration of that power. If we think of the digital age as the age that we're in and moving further into, then data is its currency. And the currency of that new digital age has been hoovered up in massive amounts by companies and corporations. So what could we do to change this future? You know, we want all the good things that data can provide us and AI can provide us and digital futures can provide us. And we want those cool experiences like Uber to exist because it makes our life easy and convenient. Well, it's actually possible to have your cake and eat it too. And that's why we're working on blockchain technologies, because it gives you the power to create technology systems that aren't owned by corporations, to put your data to work in a system where that corporation doesn't have access to it, to create economic models which encourage equality in the ecosystem and make it easy for you to break out of it if you're not being treated fairly. Decentralization should create a better world for everyone, and it's an important thing to try and get your head around, because without it, we go to centralization. There's this kind of black and white space here. We're seeing centralization now: power, money, information, influence, and that's having an impact even in governmental processes and elections and democracy.